Alright, so welcome to your Metamorphic Rocks lab. So we're going to go ahead and run through the questions, and then we'll use the tables to identify these rocks as well. So the first question is, does a rock have layers? So let's look at this rock. You can see distinct layering. So we're going to say yes, it does. So it says to identify the rock based on the crystal size and the mineral composition using Table 1. So let's go to Table 1. And we can see that the first one is very fine, crystals not visible. Well, if you look at it, you can sure see a lot of crystals in it, right? So I'm not going to say that it's very fine. It says the next one is fine grains, crystals not visible. Again, we know we've got crystals visible. So the next one says crystals visible with the unaided eye. Yep, we're there. So it says well-developed foliation, which the foliation are the lines. Almost banding, mostly composed of micas, quartz, and or garnet. Well, do you remember what micas look like from our first lab? Let's go ahead and take a look at what micas look like. These are micas from the mineral lab. Sure does look like that, doesn't it? So I guess that gives you your answer for that one. Make sure you write down the rock name, the crystal size, and the characteristic that you used to identify this rock. And that is your sample 1. This is sample 2. So let's go back through those questions. Does the rock have layers? I don't really see any distinct layers. So if we say no, then that means the texture is non-foliated. So you're going to use the Table 2 to name this rock. So head down to Table 2. The first one says fizzes in weak acid or vinegar, maybe white to tan, or gray, or pink. It's got a kind of a pink tint to it, right? Kind of salmon colored. Crystals are usually visible and may be small or large, and it may be streaky or even banded. Well, banding is seen here, where the minerals actually kind of separate. So you've got some banding going on. Let's see if it fizzes in weak acid. So I think you have your answer there, right? So again, make sure you write down the rock name, the mineral composition, and the characteristic that helped you identify this rock. Again, that's rock number 2. Alright, rock number 3 of your metamorphic rock. So does a rock have layers? If your answer is yes, then the texture is foliated. If your answer is no, then it's non-foliated. So I'm not seeing any layers. I'm going to say this is non-foliated, so you would probably use Table 2 to identify this. Now, reading in the characteristics of Table 2, we already got that first one down. So let's read the second one. Composed of interlocking quartz crystals, maybe white, tan, gray, green, pink, or red, or purple. And it can scratch glass. So let's go ahead and see what happens when we put a piece of glass down and pull sample 3 across it. You could hear it. I can feel it. So that sample scratches glass. So that should actually help you get your answer for rock number 3 in the Metamorphic lab. rock number 4. So let's say, does the rock have layers? Depending on how you answer that, you would want to use either table 1 or table 2. I don't see any crystals that are visible. That's sample 4. No crystals visible. Very well developed foliation. And I could imagine that if I was able to hit this with a hammer, rock hammer, it would probably break along those sheets. So here's sample number 5. Again, going back to our questions to help us. Does the rock have layers? If your answer is yes, which I hope it's not, then you would use table 1. If your answer is no, then you would use table 2. There's a lot of sparkling going on. It looks like very fine crystals. Doesn't scratch the glass. The glass actually turns it into kind of a powder. So there's sample 5. Here's sample 6. It's got kind of a glossy sheen to it. Is the texture foliated? Do you see plating? So that's what foliated is, like little plates. If your answer is yes, you're going to use table 1 to help identify this. It's very glossy. It's kind of smooth. You can see lots of multiple layers. So identify that one. Again, you want to put the rock name, whether it's foliated or non-foliated, and a characteristic that helped you identify it. Alright, here's your last one for rock identification. Does the rock have layers? If you answer yes to that, you use table 1. If you answer no, you would use table 2. Are the crystals visible? I can see, hopefully, that you can see them too. The sparklies, chunks of them. When a rock has layers where the minerals have separated out due to their different melting temperatures, it's called banding. So use your tables and identify this rock as well. Again, with the name, whether it's foliated or non-foliated. And foliated is that layer look. And then what you used to help identify this particular rock sample. And that will conclude your rock identification for the metamorphic rocks. And I'll see you again on the next video.